Coming up in the Bahamas tonight, it's being described as the biggest tourism deal in the region. I'll tell you all about it straight ahead.
Coming up in the Bahamas tonight, could your web shop winnings be taxed? We'll give you the details, so stay tuned.
And a new bill for disabled Bahamians is tabled. The Bahamas Tonight, the national report, starts now.
Now in HD. ZNS Network presents The Bahamas Tonight. This portion of the news brought to you by BTC Every Day.
Atlantis with a significant change that could change the touristic landscape. Good Wednesday evening, Bahamas. I'm Altaviz Munnings.
And I'm Andrew Knowles. Thanks so much for joining us on the Bahamas Tonight. It's being described as the most revolutionary move in tourism throughout the region. A landmark agreement struck between the Atlantis Resort and the world's leading hotel brand in group business. The results predicted to be big enough to call it the most significant step for tourism in the Bahamas. Tonight, Clint Watson tells us that the news comes just one day after the mega resort and its parent company Brookfield sealed a deal to secure a significant amount of funding for an outstanding debt.
I believe that arguably this could be the most significant tourism stimulus for the Bahamas in this decade.
President and Managing Director George Marcantonis made the announcement that Atlantis will now become a part of Marriott's Autograph Collection, which is a growing network of 60 independent lifestyle hotels. The benefits, particularly in a market Atlantis has become known for.
Global group sales, point redemption for frequent travelers, as you've already heard, and also the ability to earn points if you're a Marriott member when staying at Atlantis. So, an independent property, part of the Autograph Collection, a fantastic blend of two brands that are very, very well known throughout the world. And it's hoping that we will get this initiated by the fall.
Atlantis will become the biggest property in the Marriott brand of 4,000 hotels. Executive VP of Mergers and Acquisitions and Business Development for Marriott, Rick Hoffman, explained that the Autograph Collection of Hotels section was launched in 2010 with Atlantis in mind. It affords hotel properties to maintain their own brand but benefit from the data and customer base of Marriott. There are over 60 such hotels worldwide.
Rewards is a 45 million member strong platform of frequent travelers, and we want to introduce Atlantis to that 45 million members and bring as many of those 45 million members as we can down to Atlantis. We are also going to be featuring Atlantis on our direct channels, our website Marriott.com, which is one of the largest commercial websites in the world. We'll hit almost $10 billion in direct sales this year.
Senior Policy Advisor to the Prime Minister, Subaltram Bethel, says this is the biggest news to emerge in the Caribbean in a long time, where two world-class hotel and hospitality companies come together in a business deal.
What it means for group business, the lucrative group business. Marriott is a world leader in the procurement of group business, and they have a client base which is second to none.
As far as numbers are concerned, Marcantonis says they begin looking at some figures. However, it's difficult to put a percentage on projections at this point because of the uniqueness of this destination now coming on stream with the Marriott brand. However, he says in the end, both companies not only benefit, but indeed the entire destination as a whole. Clint Watson, ZNS Network News.
Thanks, Clint. While the government continues to fine-tune the new gaming legislation and meeting with international stakeholders and regulators. And as that process takes place, we're learning more about what's in the document or still being discussed for the bill, including possible taxation on your number winnings. Minister of Tourism and the Minister responsible for gaming, Obi Wilshcombe, discussed the issues regarding the controversial bill, noting that the government is making every effort to ensure that it meets global standards. Our Janaea Noel Ferguson has that story.
Web shop winnings could stand to be taxed, with the government expected to make a final decision on this aspect of the regulation this week. Minister of Tourism Obi Wilshcombe, who has responsibility for gaming, says it's quite possible that your win on a 4-ball or spin can decrease.
That's something that's being considered right now. We have not arrived at a conclusion on that, because there are those who argue the tax on your winnings and those who argue that you tax the web shop. So both are being looked at right now, but I suspect by Friday we'll have the final decision on that.
And while the provisions for lotteries won't be a part of the new legislation on gaming expected at the end of the month, Wilshcombe revealed that there has been keen interest from various groups on the possibility.
We've been talking with companies. Foreign groups have come to the Bahamas asking for letters of invite to be included in the consideration of a lottery license. And the reason for that is very simple, because there is value to it. And we have to think at all times of how we're going to fund healthcare, how we're going to fund education, how we're going to fund culture, how we're going to fund sport. We have to think about these things, and countries have found ways to do it.
Now, Wilshcombe reiterated that web shop operators who do not qualify under the new legislation will be shut down. But what about gaming addiction? Wilshcombe says the new legislation makes provisions for that.
If you are found to be an individual who has a problem, an addiction, that efforts could be made to ensure that you are not allowed to gamble through family, through the state, and through the funds that will be provided to provide assistance.
Now, despite the delay of the bill being presented here at the House of Assembly, Wilshcombe says all of that is being done to ensure the bill meets international standards. Now, this is something emphasized by Minister of State for Legal Affairs Damian Gomez, who says much time is needed before the bill is presented to Parliament. Janae Noel Ferguson, ZNS Network News.
In other news tonight, as CARICOM leaders prepare for a strategic plan to advance the region over a 5-year period starting next year, the nation's Prime Minister says why it is crucial and also comments on education and enhanced development in the Bahamas. He spoke to our Julian Reed at the CARICOM Heads of Government meeting in Antigua and Barbuda shortly after he made an intervention to the CARICOM body.
Prime Minister Perry Christie says that CARICOM's strategic plan is overdue, but he believes a 6-point plan that covers key areas including building economic, social, and technological resilience and strengthening community governance is a good one.
It was important that I commit the Bahamas to all of the tenets of the 5-year program, to speak to all of the issues arising out of that 5-year program, to give them some advice on how we have to have a common approach to investment, for example, so that when we're talking about incentives, that we have a common approach to incentives, or at least we know what the other countries are giving to incentivize and pay for developments.
The regional leaders listened to a presentation on what is a region-wide issue: the failure of the education system.
The same challenges we have in the Bahamas of dropouts from high schools. A class begins with 60 students and ends up with 25 graduating, and that is an experience that they spoke of today as affecting the region.
Prime Minister Christie told his CARICOM colleagues that the Bahamas wants to be represented on the commission designed to address that. This ties in with a possible youth unemployment commission that was suggested by the Antiguan and Barbudan Prime Minister on Tuesday. The Prime Minister also highlighted development in the Bahamas, which he said is taking place. He said a strong focus remains on job creation and added the developers in San Salvador are about to get started on that project.
So it's going to be, for us, the welcome challenge of recognizing development taking place in different parts of the Bahamas, including New Providence, Grand Bahama, but in places like Bimini and Abaco and San Salvador, Exuma, and we're going to have, I think, the basis for my optimism about good times coming back into the Bahamas, that my own optimism, I think, will be rewarded as we move forward.
Prime Minister Christie's contributions at CARICOM are significant. His colleagues here say they appreciate his experience and leadership. The regional exchange is a mutually beneficial one, and the Bahamas' role in CARICOM will only increase as we get ready to chair CARICOM beginning in January. In Antigua and Barbuda, I'm Julian Reed for ZNS Network News.
Well, still on news from Antigua, this year's CARICOM Triennial Award winner, Marion Bethel, said she was honored to accept the award and was happy that her receiving was a positive impact, especially on Bahamian women. She also pointed out that the website for the award has a quote from Robert Love of the Jamaican Advocate in 1985. Love was, in fact, a Bahamian.
I am pleased to say that this award, not well known in the Bahamas, has now kindled the interest of many young and older Bahamian women. We as Bahamians do not yet know and appreciate fully the stature of Robert Love. His significant work, not only in the Bahamas, but Jamaica, Haiti, and the Caribbean diaspora. In short, Dr. Love established a significant career as a social reformer, politician, and radical journalist in Jamaica in the 1890s. He founded the Jamaica Advocate, a Pan-Africanist newspaper. Dr. Love later became a primary mentor and friend to Marcus Garvey, helping to foster Garvey's consciousness of Africa and the ideas of Pan-Africanism.
Still to come, we've got reaction to the disabled bill that was tabled in Parliament today.
And the Junkanoo legend is remembered. You're watching the Bahamas Tonight.
The news is brought to you by Shell Quality Fuels.